Hello, I'm Jonathan Bowman-Perks and welcome back to my favourite time of the week. And I thought in this time of unprecedented global pandemic and so much change going on that I'd review some of the things I've been learning during this time, and also the 60 podcasts that I've done so far and the variety of different leaders that I've learned so much from and their lessons from crisis. I love John Lennon's quote, "Life is what happens when you're making other plans." And life is compulsory, we're living it, but learning from the experience and the mistakes that we make is optional. So life is compulsory, but learning from it is optional. What I'm finding more than ever in these crises, people are desperately looking for leadership, but some, certainly the big corporations and maybe some of the smaller ones, are going, we've got to have cash flows king, we've got to save, cut anything to do with leadership development, coaching and helping these leaders in this time of crisis. I think that's a big mistake. And the finer leaders and the finer organizations realize they've got to keep learning and growing. They haven't got the finished article at all. They're work in progress. They're the incomplete leader with the complete team. I found the mnemonic from David Rock in his book about neuroscience and how we think, SCARF, to be very helpful for innovation and creativity. And SCARF stands for status, certainty, autonomy, relatedness, and fairness. Status, can you lift the status of the person you're with so they feel better about themselves and they think well, while reducing yours in a modest way? Certainty, this is such a time of great uncertainty. People don't know what's happening next month, let alone next year. How can they plan on that? Autonomy, give them as much autonomy as they can so they think for themselves. Relatedness, create an environment which is more friendship, virtual team meetings. And finally, F, fairness, always ensure that things are fair. A book I've found very helpful during this time is Leadership is Language by Admiral David Marquet. I loved his book, Turn the Ship Around. He's a submariner, an admiral, and some great things that I'm going to mention some of his stuff now. He talks about beware the power gradient, the hierarchy that goes on in organizations with status, with symbolism, and who speaks and who's afraid of speaking. I'm finding with some of my clients, they're talking about Neds who daren't challenge the chairman or the CEO, or execs who don't challenge the CEO, and the CEO's power or the chairman's power grows too much. And this is the time that we need to mention the elephant in the room, because there's too much coercion and control to comply going on, and sometimes there's a misuse. And what people think is motivation and inspiration that they're giving is in fact manipulation and coercion. Make sure you're not doing that, or you're not suffering from that. The best approach to mitigate the power gradient, flatten the hierarchy wherever you can, is the first point. The second one, admit when you don't know as a leader. Don't be the know-it-all, and be more vulnerable as a leader. When you as a leader admit that you don't know, then it makes it okay for others in your team to admit that they don't know. Because otherwise people will blindly blunder on, pretending they know when they don't, and then the mistakes will mount up. But also by admitting that you don't know as the perfect godlike or goddess-like being, you allow someone more junior to say, actually, I do know. And you go, great, bring it on, bring on the idea. And so don't be arrogant. Too many leaders I know are incredibly arrogant. They think they know it all. They're the answer man or the answer woman. Don't be that. Draw out from people. So say, for example, we're in uncharted waters. This global pandemic, we've never been in it before. I don't have all the answers. What do you think? Let's work on this together. Because as a leader, you've got to create psychological safety. It's a key concept which builds trust within people, and they feel that they can be appropriately vulnerable and expose themselves by sharing ideas and things which may not work. And the way you handle it will determine whether there is psychological safety, or where you crush it completely and people just go, it's not safe to step up here. I'm not going to do that. I watched what happened to him. I had that happen when I was a company commander with a commanding officer who just destroyed any opposition to his ego. The leader should trust first is another good one. Always assume positive intent from somebody. Were they trying their best and just made an error? Or did they have evil intent and intended to destroy the organization? Rarely is it the second. Perhaps it's an issue of competence and training and development. Or were you not clear enough in what you said to them? So have the attitude that I trust you were trying to do your best and it didn't work out. Now, take me through your thinking. Different mindsets. Your attitude defines your altitude is a great saying. But David Marquet talks about this. Have you got a be good or get better mindset? The be good mindset is you are already perfect. You don't want to be challenged at all. You get very defensive to justify a decision that you've made. And it's also what he calls approve mindset. Are you in a be good and approve mindset, or are you in a get better mindset where you realize you can constantly improve? So you've got improve mindset, get better. And finally, I thought I'd end with Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities, which I think is very relevant. While this was in 1859 and we're now in 2020, I think it encapsulates what's going on for us. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom. It was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief. It was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light. It was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope. It was the winter of despair. We had everything before us. We had nothing before us. So you choose. Choose your attitude. Choose to lead. Don't avoid it and keep developing yourself. Great to talk to you, and I wish you success in these challenging times.